Yes, good evening, everyone. This has been a long but very, very productive day. I'm here with a delegation of Palisadians, and we have been struggling to make sure that every single person in the Palisades is able to rebuild and get back home and get their lives back to some level of normalcy. And so we have issued almost 2,000 permits, and we have over close to 500 homes that are actively under construction now. So the permitting is going fine. However, the biggest hurdle that Palisadians are facing is problems and challenges with the insurance companies who are reluctant to pay, are making it very, very difficult on homeowners, as well as people who are in apartments and condos and have HOAs that they have to deal with, and also the banking industry in terms of forbearance of mortgages, because it is taking a while to rebuild. Those mortgages, forbearance needs to be extended for another couple of years. I'm happy to say that Bank of America has been at the lead in terms of extending the mortgages and putting those payments at the end of a mortgage. So instead of a 30-year, having a 33-year mortgage. And so I am honored to be here with leaders from the Pacific Palisades who have all lost their homes, some in the process of rebuilding, but some raising issues that haven't been dealt with. And so I'd like to introduce the councilwoman from the area, Councilwoman Traciv Park, and she will speak, and then after that, the leader of the LA delegation, Assemblymember Tina McKenna. Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for organizing this delegation to Sacramento today and your leadership in ensuring that our constituents have the resources that they need to get home. As we have just passed the 1-year anniversary of the worst disaster in our city's history, we're very grateful about all of that progress. It hearkens us, but we recognize as well that there are still thousands of families that remain displaced. The recovery shouldn't be worse than the disaster itself. And yet, as we turn into a new year, I am afraid that as the economic realities set in, this year may actually be more difficult than last as we continue our efforts rebuilding this entire community from under the ground up. We have so many thousands of people that are now paying mortgages on homes they can't live in, on lots they can't afford to rebuild on, and we have major infrastructure rebuilding and upgrades to do. And so this partnership across levels of government is going to be essential as we create these opportunities for every victim to have a pathway home. Thank you again for arranging this, Madam Mayor, and I'm going to turn it over to the Assemblymember McKenna.
Leader.
Thank you so much for your continued partnership and diligence and for hosting us today. Thank you, Assemblymember.
Good afternoon. I'm Assemblymember Tina McKenna, and I represent the 61st Assembly District. Half of my district is in the great Councilwoman Traciv Park's district, and of course in the mayor's city. The LA County, the LA County delegation consists of 37 legislators representing over 10 million residents of the Los Angeles County. We are the largest and the most diverse, partisan delegation in the state. While the devastating Palisades and Eaton fires of 2025 were still burning, Mayor Bass was in immediate contact with the governor, the speaker, and the pro tem and myself, working day and night to ensure that the state emergency resources were being made available to residents and businesses in the Palisades. Working closely with Mayor Bass, the legislature quickly approved an initial $1 billion in recovery funds, and over the course of the last year, an additional $2.5 billion to support the recovery work that continues to this day. This did not happen by accident. This happened because of the exceptional leadership of Mayor Karen Bass. Mayor Bass delivered immediate and sustained recovery support to families and businesses in Palisades. And so, I'm here to say that we will continue to stand with the City of LA. Your LA County delegation will continue to stand and make sure that LA has what it needs to rebuild, and make sure that these folks behind us have pride in where they live and that they can rebuild their city and make sure that they have everything that they need. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I'm Martin Hawk. I'm a resident of Pacific Palisades, and we came here as a delegation, thanks to Mayor Spass' invitation. There are about 10 of us here, all representing homeowners, condo owners, mobile home park owners, renters. We came here to create an audience here for solutions and identifying ways we can move forward in our community to rebuild in a sustainable way. And what does that mean? Number one is insurance recovery from our existing claims. That is the number one gating issue. Number two is future insurability. We need to be insurable as a community in order to have future recovery. In order for mortgages to stay in place, that insurance has to be affordable and available to our community. So I want to expand this. This is a statewide problem. We have insurance crisis across the state, in the Sierras, in the Southern California area, in Santa Barbara, up and down the coast. That what happened in Eden and Palisades is just an example of what can happen when the insurance system is failing us. And we need to restructure it systematically, and we're hoping to work towards solutions to that end. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Roseanne Landay, Pacific Palisades. I lived in Pacific Palisades for 30 years, 20 years in an apartment, 10 years in a condo. Both of them burned down. I'm here to represent those Palisadians who live in condos, townhomes, mobile home parks, and apartment buildings. These structures comprise about 40% of the housing in Pacific Palisades, but we're often forgotten about because we're considered commercial property, not residential property. And these are the homes of the most vulnerable members of our community. 2/3 of my neighbors in my building are seniors, most of them on a fixed income. Others are essential workers, teachers, people with health care, or myself, I'm a caregiver. And so we're here today, and we're so grateful to the mayor for having organized this trip, because there is a lot of legislation that's being proposed to assist us when it comes to insurance challenges and banking challenges and mortgages. But we need to make sure it also includes this segment of our community who are the most vulnerable, who need assistance, and who really need it now. Because this tragedy, this disaster did not end the day those flames were put out. It has continued for all of us here, day after day. It's been over a year, and this is all we have focused on. And we're community members who are trying to rebuild our lives. At the same time, we're trying to rebuild our community. And that's why we're here asking our government to assist us. And that's at the city level, county level, the state level, and the federal level. Because we're not just Palisadians, we're Angelinos, we're Californians, and we're Americans. And we really need our country to support us and help us return home.
And let me just reinforce a couple of things, why it's so important to do these trips. Because we're here and advocating for specific pieces of legislation, which we can follow up with you afterwards and give you the specifics. But what we learned when we were here is that those pieces of legislation actually didn't include some of your concerns in terms of apartments, HOAs, mobile homes. And I think when we had the audience of the legislative leaders, the Senate President, the Speaker, the chairs of the appropriate committees, the author of the pieces of legislation, we were able to have that specific input. And it's our hope that they will add this in the form of amendments as it works through the legislative process. But we were also here to say that we want to help you, because we understand that when you do legislation that is going to help the individuals in the Palisades, sometimes the industry is not necessarily happy about that. And so it's incumbent upon us to make our voices heard, to impact the legislation, but also to support our legislators when they put forward pieces of legislation. And so before I wrap, let me just acknowledge the presence of the CEO of the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, who is always there leading the way, making sure that LA has a very strong business community to bring back our economy, one in the Palisades, but all through the city. So thank you very much. If there's one or two questions, we can take, and then I'll see you.
Casey from Bloomberg, you want to ask a question?
Hi. So you've previously spoken on amending Measure ULA, specifically not wanting to see people whose homes were impacted by the fires pay taxes affiliated with the measure. Is that something that you spoke about today with legislators?
No, we didn't speak about that today. We have been looking at that on the local level, on the city council level, and basically, if a property is over $5 million and you want to sell it, for whatever, any reason that you were in the Palisades, why would you have to pay that fee? And although ULA is very controversial in a lot of ways, one thing that we found is that there was a lot of agreement around that. Whether we will be able to make that happen remains to be seen.
Can you briefly repeat the question?
Oh, sure. The question was, were we advocating for the changes to ULA here that would directly impact the Palisades? And I said, no, that's not what we were taking up here today. We were taking up very specific legislation.
Yes. There's a lot of insurance companies leaving. Were they involved in any of this, the ones that are remaining?
I have no idea. I can't answer that, but I can tell you that today, our focus was not meeting with the companies, but meeting with the legislators who are involved in that specific bill. So for example, the chair of the insurance committee, Senator Petit, has a piece of legislation that is looking at the issues that we're concerned about. Members of the assembly do as well. So we were very, very specific about our issues related to how the pieces of legislation would impact the Palisades.
One of the concerns is there's less insurance companies.
Right, exactly. That is true. And we most certainly don't want the insurance companies to leave. We might be struggling with them right now, but it is in no interest for California to not have the industry to protect us. We just want the industry to do what the industry is supposed to do, which is, if you've had a policy for years and years, and you've paid into that policy, when you need it, you expect for that company to pay. And I think that's the challenges that the homeowners, the renters are facing. We want the insurance companies to do what they are set up to do. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.